Talman, Estonia, Wednesday the 21st of 2019, going on a bus tour. 60 degrees, cloudy, and cool. 436,000 people live here. The highlights of Tallinn.
I just have to turn my heater on.
Watch the bus.
Of the Scandinavian.
This is called
merchants.
Fat Margaret.
To the right-hand side now, you are going you
battlement
can see this
station.
This part of an arch that
Of
symbolizes an interrupted journey, a very tragic journey of a ferry called the Estonia, which sunk in the Baltic Sea in 1994, and we still don't know what happened, but 800 and more people perished. So that was a really tragic event. There are numerous theories why it happened. Beginning of the 1970s.
The Old Town Park.
So the material back then, very fashionable. It was called micro concrete. It was meant to be very good and very.
This is Tallinn, Estonia. Quite an interesting history that we've just recently heard. And we're going to Peter the Great's palace here in Estonia, which used to be Russia, which used to be Sweden, which used to be God knows what, but a lot of different ownerships transferred. This is a park outside of the palace area. And we'll have more photos of the palace. Beautiful fountain area. And our group. A beautiful English garden area for the Tsar, Peter the Great.
He points out a place on a shipwreck where quite many.
I guess it's a palace. I don't know how many palaces the Tsar had, but
Tell everybody. Now take the pictures, and I will see you at the lower gate. I think. I will see you by that corner. I will be standing there. We are on rather tight schedule. 5 minutes, but it's fine. Yeah, 5 minutes and I'll be there. And then
5 minutes? Is that what you said?
5 minutes?
Yeah.
5 minutes.
this is the back wall of the garden area. And the back of the palace in Estonia. I'm sure it was in Russia when Peter the Great built it. The back of the palace, spanning to the right and coming up on a unique fountain. Beautiful gardens. And there's the fountain. Not sure what the mythological creature is, but being around the sea, I can understand why he is there. Beautiful English garden. A children's amusement park close to the palace, and there's Spider-Man. Yeah, the whole park, the whole system is really the palace is a museum now, and the park systems for the city. One of the old homes on the palace grounds. Probably the servants stayed here. What we're looking at is the Song Festival facility. You can't really see it because it's a natural bowl, but 30,000 singers came here last year. Estonia is third as far as the people who sing as groups, you know, boisterous people. They're behind the Latvians, and the number one group in the world are the Irish, singing their hearts out. But it's a big deal here, big deal. 30,000 singers last year. Also, and there's a cruise ship in the background. And I also found out that Estonia, back in the old days, was the serfdom of Germany. It's where all the serfs or the slaves came from.
The church was built here by our centrist mayor, who wants to get the votes from this district, which is called Lasnamäe, which is the most Russian district of Tallinn. So that's why it's here. So never mind. Yep. So the war ended, another deportation in 1949. But luckily, the usual thing was, you know, when they demolished the old districts because of the Olympic development, they needed to give you a new flat, yes? So the usual practice was that they gave you one room less than you had members in your family. So if you were 4, they gave you 3 rooms. 3-room flat is a very common European flat. 72 square meters. 3 rooms, 17, 13, 11, 9 square meters of kitchen and quite a big corridor. Bathroom, toilet. Absolutely livable. It's doable. Many people in Europe live like this. Many people, especially in Germany. Our flats in Europe, we do have some. Okay, Britain is a bit different. Many people in Europe live like that. It is in a house which is almost exactly like the house to the right-hand side with a red roof. I have 150 square meters of living space, plus a garage, plus a garden of 600 square meters, and I live 4.5 kilometers from the city center, so in a suburb. Yeah. So like this. So this is how we live. Many of us. Of course they are, you know, renovated and refurbished. Sure, we have all the modern conveniences, but this is how we live. So that the winds of freedom started blowing. And we have always had this...
An old monastery in Estonia, famous one. Ivan the Terrible burned it to the ground. I don't know what year, but it was rebuilt.
The monastery was started by the merchants of Tallinn, and they started the monastery somewhere in the 15th century. And already in 1577 they burned it down, so about 150 years, yes? And it was by far the richest landowner around Tallinn, by far. The monastery was very rich. So the monastery had its own serfs, had its own farms, his own lands, and so on, yes? And the Reverend Mother, the Abbess, they always came from Sweden. So this was the order of Brigittines, Santa Brigitta. And actually the Brigittine nuns, they have been underestimated because the Brigittine nuns...
The graveyard of the monastery. And Honeybun. Sort of a gray day. No rain. Very knowledgeable tour guide. Speaks fluent English. I mean, but she is an Estonian, 7th generation Estonian. So I thought she was English to begin with.
actually the Slavic people from the island of Rügen. They were the ones who really conquered the town. But the legend goes like this, that at first the Estonians were on the winning side. And King Valdemar II of Denmark, he turned to God and asked the God to send him a sign that he should win. And God listened to him and sent him a sign. He sent him Dannebrog, and Dannebrog is nothing else but Danish. Language spoken in Tallinn, or Rebel back then, it had two names. The Estonians called it Tallinn, which means tiny linn, Danish city. Or Rebel, as the Germans called it. The language spoken here was Lesser German, so closer to nowadays Danish, not like the language they speak in Berlin. So the merchants settled here, and Tallinn became one of the most important cities of the Hanseatic League. We lived here by Lübeck law, so it was quite orange, the towers.
City
yes.
gates, seven more.
And this little hill here to my right is one part of the ramparts. Now to the left-hand side, the yellow building is our National Opera and Ballet Theatre, the Estonia. And under the trees you can see a monument. The monument is dedicated to the victims of the revolution in 1905, but we don't care about the revolution. Look at the monument. We are very sure that this is actually a wife who is carrying her drunken husband, and we call it Hey Taxi. To the left-hand side is our drama theatre, and to the right-hand side a house built by world-famous Finnish architect Eliel Saarinen. So this is part of the town that was badly damaged during the bombing. To the right-hand side now is the Church of St. John. And in front of that church is our main square, which is called the Square of Liberty. Under the square there is a parking lot, of course, and on the square you can see a huge glass cross. And this glass cross has evoked many discussions. There have been people who have said that, this cross, it resembles of the Nazi Iron Cross. Yes, it does. But you know what? This is the award that was given to our soldiers in 1919. So it doesn't have anything to do with the Nazi Iron Cross. It is just, coincidence, nothing more. So our War of Independence took place from 1918 to 1919, and that was the award given to our best soldiers. So to the right-hand side now you can see the part which is called Toompea. That is the upper part of the town. The upper part of the town, and the tower, you can see a tall tower there. This is part of the Danish castle, and the tower is called Tall Herman. This is Big Herman in Estonian. This is where we hoist our flag every morning, playing our anthem, and every sundown we take the flag down. Commuter trains, and we call them carrots because they are orange. And on the trains we have free internet, and they are very fast, and it costs you, if you are a citizen of Tallinn, because our transportation in Tallinn is free. If you are a citizen of Tallinn, you can pay your taxes in Tallinn. So
we're in Old Town, and
there's the steps right here.
that's the Prime Minister's house there. And there were two actual city administrators, one for the upper part, one for the lower part. I don't completely understand that, but that was in the old days, not now. Not now. Old Town of Tallinn. Really founded by the merchants. More of Old Town, getting deep into the bowels of the city.
You see the art there, huh?
Yeah.
pretty cool.
That is. Walking in the very old part of Old Town. We're going to be coming to the city center and the city hall. It's the oldest city hall in Europe, built in 1404.
With a restaurant. This is the oldest cafe in Tallinn. Fort Myers was called the Sweet Tooth. So there is a door on that side of the building, and there are restaurants in the basements. There are quite many. There are also restaurants in all the shops, but usually there is one. Now, I would like to give you some free time, and then I will meet you at 11:30, and then we are walking together through that passage to Town Hall Square and to other places and back to the bus. Then we have half an hour, and it's doable because it's small. Now somebody asked me what is typical for Estonia. If you would care to follow me, I will show you this factory shop, which to my mind is the cheapest, honestly. It is an honest place. So this is, you can follow me there when we went.
We're going to meet you back.
I think the word that comes to my mind when I look at this and walking up the old street here is quaint. It is very quaint.
This is the factory shop. Come on in, I will show you some of the things that are...
We're going into the factory shop for souvenirs.
Paying attention.
Best price in town. Downtown Old Town. A nice carriage ride through the streets. And a lot of tourists. We're on our way to City Hall, the old City Hall. The city square, full of people. City Hall, 1404.
We don't know for sure that it is one of the oldest still operational pharmacies of the world. It was first mentioned in 1422, and we had a family called Baltic. They came from Hungary, and they were the ones who were the pharmacists.
Looks like a Greek Orthodox or a Russian Orthodox church down there.
So, everybody, if I kindly could ask you to be a little bit quicker because we are doing some extras so that you can see the city wall.
This was the oldest part of Old Town.
Teaching Latin and all other things because Latin back then was lingua franca, yes, the language that they used like English today. Yes? So what we do, this is our only possibility to see what our city wall was like. And we are walking through to the city wall and coming back Middle Street and heading to our Portugal. All right?
Heading to where?
Check those out. They say something, but I'm not sure what. These are old tablets or advertising, billboards, whatever. This is the Merchant Center of old town. Pretty cool. Very old.
with the tour and you really don't. I know. That's why you gotta stop and you gotta go after them.
More of Old
He
Tallinn.
was the one who was able to alert the town when, you know, the enemy was coming closer. So there he is. God in telling for us. More than 30 minutes. If you really want, please come closer. I have to work tomorrow. So, 30 minutes. And there are two good ways of going back. The first way is you walk down this area. You go to see that all the and where you can see the tram. There is a big way for it. You turn to the you will have
Market Square, Tallinn, Estonia. We're back to the bus, heading back. Today's Thursday, August 22nd, I believe. And we're in Riga, Latvia. Lativa, one of the Baltic states. It's about 8:30 here. Cool breeze. And we've got a 3-hour tour and then we get to relax. Similar to yesterday. We were in Estonia yesterday. Latvia today, and I forgot what the other one's called. I always forget that one. Latvia, Lithuania tomorrow. Riga, Latvia, more to come on the other side of the ship. Pretty nice. The only problem is the position of the sun. But it's a good overview of the city. I think this is the largest city in the Baltic states. Not sure how many people. It's going to be a beautiful day. High is around 68, 70 degrees. And more to come. Leaving the ship in Latvia.
Hey, morning.
Like you know, Latvia is the middle country in the Baltics, and we are between Estonia and between Lithuania, but we have also a border with Belarus and with Russia, but our country is having also approximately 500 kilometers water border, and of course we will go to see our Bay of Riga, our lovely sandy battery got this territory. But after the Polish period, a Swedish period started. Gustav Adolf II inquired Riga, and 90 years long Riga had to pay high taxes for Sweden, for Stockholm, because Riga was a rich center of the trade in the 17th century. Local people said, "Oh, we are 7 minutes in America," because it was the first such a road in Latvia where people could drive in 3 lines, like people could see on the television, like it was in America. And from here to Jurmala, people had to drive 7 minutes. Today we will drive a little bit more because there is a speed limit, 70 kilometers per hour, not 100. And they are also repairing the road to Jurmala. And so we will need a little bit more time. But so it was during the Soviet period, and this road was built specially for politics from Crimea and independent.
Pretty countryside.
Was so big,
Wildflowers.
and people were standing with flags and were singing, and we're so happy to do it, but it was also a little bit dangerous because Latvia was not free and independent at that moment. We got our independence on the 21st of August 1991, and yesterday was a day when we had flags near each building to remember this day when we got our independence and freedom. But people were happy to show our dark red, flag and to be together, and had a great hope that Latvia will be free and independent. But there is no need to have another harbor near the Riga town, and the harbor in Jorma town was closed, but people wanted to make trade. But Bishop Albert was also not so happy to see it, and one captain with the team were also killed, and so the harbor was closed.
Interesting.
And local
toll
people were
road.
selling fish. They were also
city
bringing
toll.
fish to Riga to sell it, and also season. So
Jormala.
some people are also fishing on the right side. And the railway bridge you can see on the right side, and not far away is also the Bay of Riga. But during the winter period, lots of children are coming to Liivu Aqua Park, which you can see here on the right side, and there are not only red pipes, there is also a black pipe. But during the summer period, less people are coming to this aqua park because we are enjoying time near the seaside. And our sandy beach is approximately 26 kilometers here, that they need to go into the water. But there was a problem. They didn't know what to wear. And they were going without clothes into water. But men wanted to see the nice bodies of the ladies, and there was a great problem. But the system was made. There were flags for special swimming hours for ladies, and for special swimming hours for men. Can you guess what color was the flag for men? Red, yes, you're right. The flag for swimming hours for men was red, but for ladies it was blue. And if people could see the blue, and many people having problems with their heart or with lungs, they were sent to this treatment house, and this doctor was sure that people need to spend more time in the nature, and they had to walk near the beach without shoes. They had to work very hard. They had to prepare firewood for heating for the next winter, and many air concert hall. And you can also see that we have different hotels and guest houses here, and they are really charming, kept very well from the second part of the 19th century. But the concert garden was always fighting with Horn's concert garden, because the area is not so huge here, and everybody wanted to have more guests. And if Mr. Horn was inviting 10 musicians for a
Jormala.
So, dear ladies and gentlemen, we are standing at the end of the Juoma Street. there are just 3 streets. One is near the Lialupe River. The other one is which we were using when we were coming here, and the pedestrian street is here in the middle. And here are lots of shops, lots of
The beach at Jormala. The beach at Jormala. A little cool, but real nice weather. The Baltic Sea. And there are a few people, very few, going in. He was to my right.
Ah.
He went in to my right.
Oh yeah, there's somebody going in back there. You're right.
And it's Majori Beach, M-A-J-O-R. I'm not sure why, but this is the beach hotel. This is our group coming down to visit. Beautiful church there, I think, or something.
I'm looking at my TV right now.
What a luxury. The beach in Hana, alias Honeybun.
She is in heaven.
27 kilometers of beach. And we're right on the water's edge. And the big Baltic Beach Hotel. And the Baltic Sea with a couple of people in it. Some old buildings here.
And so people are coming, relaxing. People are also coming with children, and we are all organizing also different games here near the beach. We have a marathon in Jormala near the beach. People are running because it's a nice distance to run here near the beach. And we are also organizing.
This is a Scandinavian raven. Interesting, huh? Gray and black. This one in particular is in Latvia. Jormala, the pedestrian street. With all the shops, restaurants, souvenir shops, etc. Riga, Latvia. The twin towers there. One of them is going to be an office building and the other is going to be an apartment facility. The penthouse has already been sold for $3.5 million. Beautiful architecture. This is an interesting shot with the bridge and the relatively new building in the background. And here you can see the Latvian flag flying. It's garnet, white, and garnet. Blood, peace, and blood, I guess. They lost a lot of people. They were occupied shortly by the Russians and then the Germans and then the Russians again. And a unique building right here, not sure what it is, but it's beautiful. And we're going to see the bridge on the river. We're going to go over the other side of the boat and take some photos before we leave. Another building in the background. Not sure what it is, but pretty big. And then we have some of the old town. Except there's really not a separate old town here. It's just the old part of town. But they also, I've heard the term Paris of the North, and I don't know if it's that tower there or what, but that's a communication tower. Looks like the Eiffel Tower, roughly. And then this is the playground for the kids on the ship. It's as far aft as possible, and I'm sure they have a good time. Riga, Latvia. And this is from not deck 13, it's from, or 12 I should say, it's from deck 6. And you can hear the traffic, quite an industrialized city. And of course the church, they have several, but they don't say they're very religious people. And this is quite a building, Fine Arts Center, or the Performing Arts structure. And then Circle K gasoline. I could swear we have that in South Carolina. Riga, Latvia. We're now in Lithuania. Getting ready to board the bus.
And they called this place Memmelburg because they thought that they'd found the delta of outside to build a castle here, but unfortunately that wasn't the delta. That was the Karish Lagoon, so the water point where we have just left your boat standing. So the Germans found the city, the town, artists. So now look at the left-hand side. So can you see a sword? Yes, and you can see those colors in the center. Can you see the country?
Yes.
Which country the flag is?
Can't see it.
Can you see it?
Trees.
No, but you can see the center. So this sword was built when the Soviets, and it is put down, right? And they said that the sword is down as we don't want any war anymore. And in the center, if you can see, if you can see in the center a star, and we have that star contains an eternal flame inside, and it is also always burning. And here we have a lot of soldiers that are medicine studies, but we have a lot of things, a lot of let's say programs that are related to the sea and many other languages and IT and environmental studies and others. On the left hand side you can see a small cemetery. So this cemetery is for the private houses. On the right hand side especially private houses or detached houses, whatever you call them, and they are now actually they are a bit too big because during the Soviet times people couldn't have any private, let's say, property, any land here in the towns. And when we regained our independence, people, of course, people always wanted to have their own property. They start building houses, and they are different, of course. Ones are more beautiful, the others are less, but they were quite big. Nowadays, it's a bit
More homes.
if you want to have everything quicker, you most probably you go to the private sector. Sometimes you have to, not sometimes, in the private sector you have to pay, but you have your, let's say, things done quicker. So if you have social insurance, you don't have to pay for your treatment in hospitals, and your GP or general practice doctors also, but you have to pay extra for some, let's say, our
Lithuanian
medicine
countryside.
sector. So we are going now. If we are going to Palanga, and if we turn back time, this place means that we are still in Germany. And we are traveling to Lithuania after the First World War, after 1918, when Lithuania declared its independence in February. And before that, it was a part of the Russian Empire. But this part, we're still in Germany. Still in Germany, as Klaipėda was a part of Germany till 1923. So let's talk about Lithuania, and let's talk about all the things that, and 1/3 of our country is covered with trees, forests, so it's a green country, and that's why storks, our national bird. So a stork is our national bird. Maybe we will see them today because they quite often walk here. We can see most.
We're going into Palanga, Lithuania, a resort area.
That's true.
Sort of like the, where were we yesterday?
Riga.
Riga. But we went to, oh no, Jamala,
But the city was Riga, but I don't remember the
in Lithuania. So, they're putting their best foot forward.
Latvia. That's what it was, Latvia.
Pretty garden area out there. And people can go to relax, I guess. Family area. Actually going into the park now. A leisurely stroll in Palanga.
Usually stroll happening here.
Oh, I know. They all walk faster, don't they? Beautiful area, lots of trees. I think lumber was their biggest industry. One of the sculptures, I guess, within the park. We'll see. This is the first one.
This actual sculpture was built in 1961.
1961. Looks like the mansion of the person who owned the land back in the 1700s or 1800s. A castle. Right now we're in pursuit of a toleta. And this is where we are. Palanga Amber Museum. The path less traveled. Here are the grounds of the mansion. They have one of those grass mowers out there. Pretty. I think this is our group. Yeah, I know it is. I see Rob and Sheila. We're inside the mansion. There's our team leader, son.
Okay, so I can see maybe almost all of you here. Just a few words about this place, the entrance, the hall, the lobby, whatever you call it. So that was the place where visitors would come and to see. Actually, here in this room, remember that the family was a big one. They had 10 children. And so this furniture is made in the style of Chippendale, that is from the 18th century in England, and it derives from a surname. Chippendale was a surname of, let's say, an artist, Chippendale. And now a few words about this tapestry, which is the deliverance of Jerusalem. And this episode is taken from the Crusades when they were traveling to the museum. So looking at those photos where the family is sitting at the table, this tapestry could also be...
I think that's the Count.
During the war, you know, that
the owner.
Disappeared during the war, everywhere, and what happened? The head of this, say, museum, there is a branch, here in Baltic, the main thing is in our capital, very long and
Sort of a sitting room.
during the Soviet times, he was visiting,
Looks like an office.
Yeah, we have to wait.
Stay away from her. We are.
Okay, so this is the information, but the Baltic Amber. What happened? A lot of million years ago, in the territory of Scandinavia that we have today, right? When the global warming started going on, there were very special trees that are called amber trees. We don't have such trees anymore. So the global warming, the annual temperature was about 25 plus 25 degrees Celsius, and the amber trees, they had
Big examples of amber.
rare that can be found in the outside.
That's his collection.
Right, and a lot of different shapes. We can have icicles, we can have transamber, amber drops, and
Continuing the amber collection. Unique pieces. operated by hand, or foot, I should say.
Enjoy watching, right?
This is the entryway fireplace, which is a crossover to the next room of the Count's mansion, and Amber Museum on the second and third floors. Pretty nice. A lot of amber. 50-million-year-old tree sap. The modern world. Robo Mower. Another beautiful part of the park in Prolanga.
Quite a lot, or quite many times. And nowadays, of course, now everything is under the control. But back to those times, yes. So that's why some of them, some of the most beautiful buildings, some of the most beautiful villas, they were destroyed either during the war or the fire. Let's say, or due to
Church the Count built, Prolanga, and he donated the bricks. He had a brick foundry, and he donated, I'm sure, the land.
I will tell you, we are all together. I will take you in a few moments, okay? Yeah. So, the church, which is the Virgin Mary Consumption Church, was built in 1907.
1907, huh?
Again, a lot of things were donated by the family, by the Count family, and I told you a bit about that on the bus while driving. So, inside, you can go inside and you will see 3 outlets.
The main entrance to the church at Prolanga. Going in.
Go right ahead.
Beautiful. Hello, honey bun. The street vendors of Prolanga. Close to the church. The park and the river. Beautiful scenery. Prolanga, 17,000 residents. The summer tourist spot of Lithuania and several other countries. I'm sure Estonia, Latvia, etc., etc. Our meeting space right there. Caffeine. And the church. Until later. Pretty park across the street. And a statue, I'm sure, that means something. She talks a lot about the occupation of the Soviet Union and Germany, and the Baltic states have been through a lot.
Than times and schedules and blah blah blah. So we are leaving Palanga. We are going back to Klaipėda and
Klaipėda, the old city center. Klaipėda. Downtown Old Town, Kapidu, I don't know. It's Lithuanian. And we're having a briefing right here with our team leader. She's giving us a little Little history lesson.
Was made, it was made after the Roman war. And that's why I hope that goes
More of Old Town. This is the alley we just came down. And that's where we catch the shuttle bus. Up the local river. Caputo.
The waterfall with the statue and the waters.
Okay, got it. Beautiful.
We're getting ready to go to the Black Cat for a beer and some food. I think that's the old fishermen, the original settlers of this place. Well, I think it was a monk. 1202. This is the city hall, I found out. And for 3 days they have a jazz festival or something here. The story never ends. This is at the square, the city square, the old town, Capolato, Lithuania. And in 1939, a famous man named Adolf Hitler gave a speech to the Lithuanians right here in front of this fountain and the music hall or theater. And then we know the rest of the story. Capolato, I think it's called. It's awfully hard. Language is even harder. But this is it. Beautiful day, 70 degrees, light, cool breeze. And we're picking up our bus right about here. Until later, we'll be on the ship. The theater. Deck 7 aft. Today is, I think, Saturday, August 22nd, or Sunday, Gdansk, Poland. This is the Port Authority, I think. I think it may be just a warehouse. But I took a picture of the theater just a minute ago to start the day. Today we're going to have Panoramic Gdansk. Only 45 minutes of walking. Looks like this is quite an industrialized area here. And all the troopers are out getting on their buses. More to come. Gdansk. We're on our way to the bus. Panoramic Gdansk. The start of another exciting day in Poland.
Poland! Hip hip hooray!
The Harbor of Masters office. And tugboats, I guess.
Okay, so since we are in Vilnius, I would like to tell you a few things about the place, because we'll be going to Gdańsk. So, but before that, I would like to tell you what we're gonna be seeing. So, we'll be going to the old town of Gdańsk, passing by Sopot. So, 1 p.m. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, a few words about Vilnius, which is relatively a young city. Nothing much was happening here until until 1919. What changed the situation of Vienna has something to do with the history of Gdańsk, which I'll be telling you.
My name is Susan Jones, and I got an appointment on September 5th that I understand.
Time agents, so quite a lot of companies, and also Polish seamen working on Polish vessels, foreign vessels. They live here in Gdynia, so for sure we can say more than 80% of the citizens living nowadays in Gdynia have some way or the other to do with the maritime industry. As I was Władysław the Fourth
Downtown
Avenue,
apartment building.
this was after the name of the Polish king, Władysław IV, to whom were presented plans, projects of building a naval port. They were presented by quite an experienced engineer, Pleitner, who had, well, actually, this peninsula, which is not very far away, was something that was very important. Even it's important today, because it protects the harbor from the big storms, so big wave and winds. And that is why sometimes when we have bigger ships, like your size obviously, but even smaller ones like the Viking cruises, there's a few Vikings that are coming to Gdańsk. They're scheduled to be going there, but if the wind is too strong, they cannot enter the Gdańsk port.
This is a procession to the cathedral of Olevia, and there's some kind of a what's it, organ convention or something.
Come over here, honey.
I need to be in the shade.
Probably, I think it's an organ recital or something. Another perspective. Beautiful. This is the side of the cathedral. Very old. Hannah's taking a break in the water closet. And the cathedral is starting early. I mean, the orchestra, organ recital. Look at all those pigeons up there.
So let's go together. And watch your step, please. Watch your step. And the rest of the floor, one step. Watch your step. 2 always zloty or 50 euro cents if you have.
Big group coming. Big group.
50 euro cents.
In a moment we're going to be passing by the palace of the Cistercian monks, which will be here on our left hand side in a few moments. And the botanical garden we're going to be seeing on the left. So I'll be showing you from the bird's eye view the cathedral. So if you look right now on the left, you can see the palace, right? And the beautiful, all of this on the left, this all used to be belonging to the Cistercian monks. Here is the main entrance to the botanical garden. So a place where very frequently the newlyweds were coming. And the botanical garden, very nice photos could be made. Very nice, colorful photos, nice scents of flowers. With these see. As I said, I'll be passing to you, for those of you who were not inside, to see from the bird's eye view the cathedral, and also the place with nobody seen, the place the person playing the organs. Okay, so the Cathedral of Olive is a place where obviously the Metropolitan Bishop resides. You can see the beautiful portal, the front side, the Baroque style with the coat of arms of the Cistercian monks. On to the right, pipes, the biggest by the front, just above the entrance. The second biggest by the front, by the altar, and the third one, more or less, in the middle of it. So three of them, they would make this exceptional sound. You can see when you look at the photos how big is. A lot of non-Germans, they're living out of that. It was much more favorable, obviously, for the Germans, for the Prussians. So a big, not only a part of the Polish people, but also other Polish soil.
Gdansk train station.
So we know that Gdansk and some other cities were being bombed by the Soviet army. And which were bombed, so like, for example, the St. Mary's Church, the Arthur's Court, and many others, those were being Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'll continue with this.
Some of the old architecture crisscrossed by a freeway coming through.
So, as I said, biggest city exporting, selling
Gdansk.
amber and Poland.
Modern architecture. I think we're getting ready to stop at a shopping mall or something.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the place which we'll be taking off, right here at this bus stop. Number one is this one right here. Yeah, but I believe it'll be easier if I will show you how to get here, it'll be easier than, but the maps obviously, it's something to have. Okay,
Downtown
so
Gdansk.
Here, this is part of the Renaissance fortification, which was built at the end of 16th, beginning of 17th century. 1 out of 4 of those fortifications came up to the 3/4 there were earthquakes. So there was the earth was made from wood and sand. They were all around the time. And there was a hole growing in front of the earthquake. So obviously there had to be drawbridges in front of those. Yeah, so that's right.
Drawbridge.
St. George. We used to have St. George Fraternity Hall. What it is, what it was for, meant for, to keep different guns, so heavier stuff like cannons being on the lower floor, right? Next to it, a strong tower, very thick. What could be there next to the guns? We need, in order to fire a gun, you need something.
There is no trace of any gouge on the Parthenos left, but there was a unique of Jibba, the only of such kind in Poland.
Sort of like Old Town. Old Town Gdansk.
give lollipops, they give... Prison Tower over here, this is a place where they have an amber museum. Now, there was another reason why Gdańsk is the capital. Most of the exhibition concerning amber art are being held in Gdańsk. Every year, thousands of makers come to Gdańsk to show a lot of nice art can be made from amber. Now, most importantly, this the first gate.
Big shopping area.
One person can go to a restaurant because there's some time. In about half an hour, we're gonna be going to a place where you could use the bathroom. Okay? Okay, we're here. Let us wait for the rest of the group. So everybody can have a chance. See where.
A gate in 1614, I think. Built by one of the czars or whatever, kings, to the old city. Lots of people. Popular area. Beautiful old town. A lot of cafes, coffee shops. Old Town Gdańsk, Poland. August 24th, actually. It's not the 22nd as I started out this segment. Saturday the 24th. Neptune, I guess. Nice little fountain. Red and white.
Did you say 15?
Fahrenheit. 1.5.
So Daniel Fahrenheit was born in Gdańsk.
Okay.
So you can find his replica of his barometer and thermometer.
This one. 1.5. This Neptune.
So here we can find the thermometer of Fahrenheit.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once again, on our left-hand side, you can see the beautiful architecture of the Neo-Renaissance style main railway station. And in front of us, we can see a building. We call it the Green Building. Could you imagine that they were building it from the top? Obviously, the skeleton, the main part.
High-rise, new ones.
But the main, most important was the Museum of World War II. I'll be telling you, obviously, something about maybe not the architecture of the museum, because we're going to be seeing an exceptional structure, but obviously what can be seen inside, and especially
The World War II Museum in Gdańsk, Poland. Most of it's underground, and World War II started right here, not at this spot, but started in Gdańsk, Poland in 1939. 80-year anniversary. sun is just at the right point. The Polish Solidarity Monument. 3 crosses. Anchors demonstrating hope. The Polish Solidarity Center. Rusted metal. It occurred in 1970. December 19th, I think, 1970. An uprising headed by Lech Wałęsa. Polish government decided to increase the food, basic food, milk, bread, butter, 100%. I think that tipped the scale. And the people revolted. I think we would too. Pretty cool. A little bit different perspective.
A sports stadium, yes, very nice. Which mostly for what? That's right, soccer in States and football and Europe. So I believe anybody would like to make a photograph? No? Yes or no? The bus will be, so we'll be going slowly then, so you can make it from the bus. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, people, viewers,
30,000.
and it is actually based in the structure. I don't know if those who know the Aliens arena, the place where the Bayern from Munich is playing. It looks very much alike it. It's just that the other one is Union. Today is in. A big part is into the other. You have to take 2 bus stops. Right?
1/2 mile long.
It is a relic
In
of
Poland,
the
the
communist
largest apartment building
very small
in the nation.
apartments, small flats, not too many elevators. Could you imagine? In small flats, there were sometimes even 8 or 10 people living. And on the other side, you can see, as a contrast, there's different other situations.
And it just keeps going.
Actually, that generation after World War II, which was born, actually was the first generation that did World War I.
And it's still
so 123 years.
1/2 mile long.
Actually, didn't exist.
Very small rooms. He didn't give a
Not
number.
on the maps. Arena. We can take up to 20,000 viewers, mostly for basketball, volleyball, handball, a lot of concerts. So when they're singing
We're going back to the ship. We're now at Sunday, August 25th, leaving the ship to go to Rostock, Germany.
Yeah, we're going to Berlin.
And then we're going to go to Berlin. Exciting day, 82 degrees today. It's predicted high. A mass exodus from the spirit. Leaving Rostock for a 3-hour drive to Berlin. Nuclear power plant, it looks like. But I'm not sure. A lot of trains. Turbine energy mills, as I call them, windmills. Wind energy. Renewable. Just outside of Rostock, Germany. Rostock.
Closest to maximum deck.
Outskirts of Berlin and a Siemens operation in the river. What's the name of it? Charlottenburg. Must be a separate little town. Charlottenburg. Pretty cool.
It's going to be a big, big castle.
Castle coming up? Castle's coming up. I have Siemens hearing aids in. One of them's not working. Wise helped. Must be a little town outside of Berlin. Something about BMW service. The largest Prussian palace, 1600s. This is the greenhouse to the palace. And we're going to the toilettes. Oh. Present day.
Wow.
This is the palace for a queen of Prussia.
Suffice to say, the king in this region, Frederick I, her husband, essentially built this palace to try to impress her. He's the guy with the funky hair. You see at the top over here. This palace back in
See around us here, there are very few skyscrapers.
Some of the residential apartments.
Beyond that, see the uniform height of these buildings, largely because of the swampy nature of the ground. Built on swamp, built on marshlands.
And Berlin was built on the
Translation,
swamp,
Old Slavic. See, in front of us we have these blue pipes coming up. These are actually overground sewage pipes. And they're installed temporarily, at least throughout the entire city, to siphon off the excess groundwater in this area. Bit of a joke in Berlin. The Berliners like to say that's where they keep their beer. Although, to be honest, if it was dripping, I wouldn't.
And the blue pipe
from it.
is a sewer
great idea.
pipe for human
Especially if it looks
waste
like beer, it's probably
going
something else.
over because they don't want it to contaminate the city water. which of course
As we
is
turn
built
left
on a
here, we'll
marshland.
join on to
Interesting.
Bismarckstrasse, named after Otto von Bismarck, the first German Chancellor. We have a lot of
One
culture in
three
Berlin, so we got the
opera
Opera House here to the left.
in the city.
You see we have over 180 museums in Berlin. Berlin government likes to say more museums in the city than rainy days in the year. Which is quite true right now, as the weather's been pretty hot recently. In July, in fact, we had the hottest day on record in Germany. 42 degrees in July. Part of this heat wave across Europe, of course, and it's actually a little hotter in France, 44.
Train going to the right is Paris, right to Paris, left to Moscow. Pretty cool. Parking garage. Downtown Berlin. Oh, Motel 1.
So there's the church in front, for those you can see at the front of the window. The front of the bus will appear on the right side very soon as well, but this damaged tooth, the Hohlenzahn to the Berliners, the cavity you can see at the top there. It's also a play on words based on the royal family in this region, the Hohenzollerns, the Hohlenzahn, the hollow tooth, the Hohenzollern royal family. And then on the right hand side we have a functioning church, and then we have a bell tower to the left as well. See, there's a memorial on the steps of that building for the terrorist attack that took place there back in 2016. Certain Tunisian gentleman who decided to steal a truck, killed a Polish truck driver, and drove this truck through a Christmas market at this particular square on the right, Breitscheidplatz. That's why you can see now that there are barricades outside, and the market is protected here on the right hand side now. These 12 people, these dozen people that were murdered in this terrorist attack in 2016. And of course, this attack in 2016, along with the influx of migrants that arrived in this country in 2015 to be processed to become further down the street, named after the first German emperor.
Shopping. All of the shopping on this street progressively gets more expensive. Downtown Berlin.
It's a male-dominated political party, so interesting that for so long the leader of this party has been Angela Merkel, with a female Protestant East German background. See the Mexican embassy there on the left. We have the Nordic states coming up as well. Just down the street there's the Syrian embassy, and then directly in front of us we have the Siegersäule, the Victory Column, built by the Prussians back in 1873 to commemorate their victories over the Danes, the Austrians, and the French. There's a bit of a joke in Germany that if the sun's out and there's a puddle nearby, Germans will take their clothes off and get naked. Look on the left-hand side here, this next meadow, you see quite a few people.
Naked sunbathers. In the meadows.
And they're on top of the Siegers.
The White House of Germany. Angela does not live there.
excuse me, the lower parliament rather, the lower parliament, there are 709 politicians currently.
Built in 1897.
These are the elected officials elected to represent the different constituencies in Germany. As we do have an upper parliament elsewhere where the 16 different states are represented. So difference if you think about the US system between the Congress and the Senate. Notice the dome at the top there, added by Lord Norman Foster, the English architect who built the Gherkin in the centre of London. That is directly above the main parliament chamber, so the politicians, whilst they're working inside this building, do have the people looking down on them from above. And the idea, according to Norman Foster, according to Norman Foster, the architect who is responsible for this, is to make sure that the German people are never getting lied to by the government, and that you can actually see the politicians at work. We though are going to hop out here just on the right hand side.
Maybe I can have. Hey Sheila?
Our tour group and tour guide.
Bob is down. Video, sure. A picture. Sure.
Modern architecture on the square of the Parliament.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Are you feeling better?
Made a huge difference.
Yeah. That's how you leaning out there.
And the woman in front of me kept leaning to talk to the other woman that sat across the hall and never shut up. And so
The Brandenburg Gate coming up. And a pretzel salesman. The construction that's being torn down has been a concert for 50,000 people just the other day. The Brandenburg Gate. An angel in a Ferrari. Berlin Wall, a cobblestone walkway. 1961 to 1989. The Brandenburg Gate, close up and personal. Going through the central part of the gate, the royal part of the gate. The center section for the royals way back when.
get a picture of us walking through. Okay, turn around, Rob's getting a picture of us walking.
The right side is most famous buildings in Germany.
Bob, you gotta move, Bob.
The Brandenburg Gate.
Okay. What's that like? The main one is this guy. Second one is the Alexander Platte. And the third one is this is the third building because it got.
We're actually in East Berlin, but it was torn down the wall in 1990, and so it's one Berlin.
one country. Yeah. So we are in the old royal district, and there's a lot of investment made here to rebuild the area with the French embassy. You can see down there. There's also the British and the Soviet embassy further down the street as well. You may recognize the hotel.
The American Embassy on the east side of the Brandenburg Gate.
You don't have to look for anything.
But it's all one Germany.
Can you imagine? It was 100 and whatever.
Yeah.
Hot.
July.
哎，那还真有星巴克，我真的不瞎说，这真的。
Some statue on the far side.
Take a picture off.
Yes. A horseless carriage. Literally. Pretty cool. Everybody's taking a restroom break, but it's a good shot of the four horses and the statue. Of the Brandenburg Gate. Prometheus. We're inside the Academy of Arts for Berlin, maybe for Germany. Well, we're getting ready to go through and the Holocaust Museum, the red light. Is, you know, it's the eastern side of the city because it's a red light with arms holding out. Interesting architecture. This used to be East Berlin. 2,711. The Holocaust Memorial. The Holocaust Memorial, commemorated in 2005, 2,700 blocks. This is the location of Adolf Hitler's underground bunker. It's now a parking lot, and I guess the tree was there. Was it in his backyard or something? Apartments built in 1980 by East Germany. The very opulent luxury apartments for the East Berlin.
East German secret police officers who lived here as well, trusted in the sense that they weren't going to escape, and that the Berlin Wall is just further behind us, a little further down the street there. Directly beneath us, though, is about 16 meters below the remains of the power plant.
16 meters below.
Ground bunker complex where he spent around about 3.5 months.
Is now renting out part of their embassy as
North
a
Korea
hostel.
Embassy on the left.
A city
The
hostel.
red
Berlin.
flag.
So lots of unsuspecting backpackers don't realize they're actually staying at the North Korean embassy, giving money towards the nuclear weapons program. But that's on the left. You can see there the North Korean flag. You'll also see the city hostel Berlin, or the Kim Jong-in, as we call it.
Kim Jong. Checkpoint Charlie.
It's now in the Allied Museum in Dahlem. As the sign as a replica also has spelling mistakes in Russian and in French. You are entering, you are leaving the American sector there. It's not the original sign. However, if you look to our left, you can see the Cafe Einstein, the second floor of this building. It's actually where the CIA used to have their offices. Just up here on the left, that's the CIA.
Checkpoint Charlie. We're on top of a restaurant where we had a pretzel sandwich. And Checkpoint Charlie Museum. Checkpoint Charlie. Took it out earlier. Interesting.
This is west side.
Sort of a busy place. Checkpoint Charlie. 1957 East German car.
Germany would wait about 14, 15 years to get one of these cars. It's very common, in fact, that people put their kids down on the waiting list as soon as they were born. But by the time they were old enough to drive, there would be one of these cars available.
This is the Berlin Wall. One of the few of pieces still remaining.
This is a way of stopping people from escaping from the east into the west. So right now the west is in front of us, on the other side.
A little piece of history. The Berlin Wall, protected by a fence. $10,000 fine if you pick up part of it. The top of the wall was simply tires or something, a round surface, and that was the final design, and it worked perfectly. More of the wall. And our traveling gang.
No, we're swapping. Thank you.
Swapping? Okay.
We're on our way home to the ship. About 5:30 in the afternoon. And a lot of farming country and windmills. North of Berlin, south of Rostock. Pretty country, real flat. And sort of the breadbasket of Germany, similar to our Great Plains states in the center of our country. Wonderful day, tiring, and it got over 80. Until later. We're in Copenhagen, Denmark. It's the 10th or 11th day of the trip, and we're going to Old Town on a bus and we think it's got air conditioning. We're not sure. Time will tell.
It's going to take a little while probably for it to cool down.
Yeah, he should have run it when he was sitting there, but he can't. He's conserving energy. This is the Little Mermaid of Copenhagen. We're going to try to see it, but people are very interested in seeing it. It's the most overrated symbol of a city on the web. Most overrated.
Yes. I know.
Quite a story about it. Protest in 1964 decapitated the original, and it's been blowing up. This is where the city protests occur when they're upset about something. And I'm going to give a cityscape here in just a moment. Very busy place. It's the Little Mermaid, and they've got other statues further down there. I'll try to get them on the Danish flag, red, white crossed, I think. And this one. Interesting, our bus has no air conditioning, so that's the first situation that was somewhat disconcerting. But I'm going to go down and take some pictures of the cityscape, and I'll be back in a moment. Center of tourism, right here by the Little Mermaid. There's the city, and an old, I don't know what over there. I've got a glare on my lens, so we're going to try to get a little closer view. I have these touring boats that are huge. Flat bottom. More of the city. Windmills everywhere. More to come. Okay, continuing on. We have a manufacturing plant over there, I believe. Reisenhausen. The proverbial windmills. And some cranes. And then further down, the canal, or whatever it's called, we have our ship, the Spirit, waiting for us. A lot of glare. I don't know how this is going to come out, but we're trying. Very nice day. I think they're having heat waves here. And we brought no shorts. I brought two one collared polo shirt and a t-shirt. So it ought to be an interesting experience. Looks like an old windmill, but I don't know. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. I don't know how many tour buses are here, but it's packed full. More to come. Here we go. Hannah's going to go for a special tour of a self-guided tour. Not sure who that is down there, but that's a big statue. Should be the one that Copenhagen puts her hat on. Now, that could be the mother of the Little Mermaid. I don't know. Beautiful day, cool breeze, but pretty hot.
Today about him because he has built most of the important monuments, if not all the Renaissance monuments and buildings here in the center of Copenhagen. So he built that to reinforce, to consolidate the defense of the city against the Swedes as they were in war back then. Ironically, here this church to the left is the Swedish church, and it's built for the needs of. Until today, these houses, they are houses for staff working for the Navy, and they used to be in white and red color, as is the top of a castle in front of you, and this is Rosenborg Castle, and it is. According to me, the most beautiful castle in the center of Copenhagen. There are three, and either Frederick or Christian, the most modern ones. And here you can see, just after the traffic light to the left, the tower of the Rosenborg Palace. Next to it, it's what they call the King's Gardens, Kongenshave. And this place was built originally as a summer house by Christian IV in 1624. And to the right of this green area that you're looking already right now, it's the Botanical Gardens. The Botanical Gardens were created in the beginnings of the 19th century after a cholera epidemic that caused to the city a lot of victims. It is in 1824 that it was decided that the fortification should be demolished. So everything to the right from here is a new part of the city. The traditional center is from this street where we are now. Bricks that are left from this tower. It was called Yemen's Tower, and it was a watchtower for in order to watch the people that were entering to the Copenhagen and exiting after they had sold their merchandise in the market. So Copenhagen, it means the buying the merchandise at harbor. It's because it was a trade center here. The founder of the city, he founded the city of Copenhagen in 1167, and there are a lot of statues in front, like for example a statue of Hans Christian Andersen on the right side of the building as we look at it right now. Inside you can find the gardens, of course, the famous Tivoli Gardens, a concert hall, big concert hall, a lot of restaurants, cafes, and the rides, the amusement park.
Over eons. I guess it was
when Walt Disney was decided to build Disneyland, he visited different countries and different amusement centers, and reportedly this was the one that inspired Century. From here you can take trains not only to all parts of Denmark, but also to to Germany and to other European countries and to Sweden. Sweden is 20 minutes from here with a train, by train.
Tivoli Amusement Park.
At least we can have the second stop. I'm just going to tell him to stop there because it's in just very
the
near
next
here.
stop?
Yes.
Okay, do it.
I think we're getting off the bus at the next stop. And we did get a shot of Tivoli.
So what we are going to do is almost all his life, and he's the only non-Italian that has his work in the Vatican, especially in the St. Peter's Cathedral. He's the only one who has a work that is not Catholic, and they didn't let him sign it. It was the grave of Pope Pius VII. And to the Constitution. The Christiansborg Palace is the only place, the only building in the world that houses all three powers of the state. So here you will find the Parliament, the Office of the Prime Minister, and the Supreme Court, and a lot of very impressive rooms that the Queen and the royal family they use to receive officials, state officials, and foreign heads of state. We will stop in the small street there where Per is going right now, just behind this Renaissance building built by Christian IV. You can see a statue of Christian IV as well right there to the left. So this it's a stock market, the old stock market and the most ancient stock market, stock exchange in Europe. And it is known for its spiral top with 4 tails of dragons. Each tail represents
Stock market. The old building, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's
And Copenhagen has almost the same number of bikes as Amsterdam.
Isn't that unusual?
It's very unusual.
And that looks like Mercury. So we're off the bus and not going back on. We'll be waiting for another bus. Beautiful spot. And there's a nice breeze going. This is the back of the Parliament building. Actually, it was a third castle that was built in 1887. The first one was built in 1167 by the bishop who founded the city. And again, this is where all Parliament, the executive offices, etc. are housed. And ancillary buildings. And there's our group, along with a horse's ass, which sounded like the driver. Not sure who this guy is, but you can tell everything in the city is copper. It turns a dark green. The Parliament, the Supreme Court, I guess the President, they all reside here. Our tour guide.
He was visiting Europe regularly, and one of his visits in Germany, he met this doctor. And somehow he was able to calm him down with Sufi symptoms. So they moved him.
And the bikes that have priority. Right now I will take a small break to show you we are crossing the bridge from Zealand to the island of Amma. To the left I would like you to look at the toaster building, as they call it, the upper end. This is where we're going now. But to the right there is a black building, and it's called the Black Diamond, and it's well known for its innovative architecture. It's called Black Diamond because of its special, the port of Christian IV, that is, of course. He built this area in order to yes, it's a group of different islands, artificial islands, and he built them in order to consolidate the defense of the city. With the artificial islands between the island of Amma and the island of Zealand. This is also industrial symbol of Denmark. However, when they declared bankruptcy, then they started changing this place, and today it's the opposite. It's a very elegant place to be and live in. Here at this island, you can find, for example, a lot of very nice and expensive restaurants like Amas, which was created by the previous chef of Noma. For those of you that are interested in food, you definitely have heard about Noma. There are people that are visiting Denmark only to dine there. Noma meaning, coming from the two words meaning Nordic food, North Mel, as it is in Danish. It has been voted as the best restaurant in the world for 2010, 11, 13, and 14. And it has 2 Michelin stars. The menu there costs about 500 euros. Just across the canal, you can see the dome that resembles a St. Peter's Basilica of Vatican. This is where the Amalienborg Palace is. On the back of it is a dome, is a church called Marble Church, and in front of it, the green arrow you see is the Gardens of Amalia. This opera and the Gardens of Amalia, they were donated to the city of Copenhagen, and the Danish people by the son of the owner of one of the biggest